نحمده ورسوله الكريم أما بعد. So we started off with our Hajj last week. So 8th of Dhul Hijjah, we had our Ihram redone if we were doing Hajj Tamattu or Hajj Ifrad. Hajj Qiran, you would be in the state of Ihram from before anyway, so you do not need to do it again. Otherwise, most people would do Tamattu anyway, so they would be coming from Miqat, they come to Makkah, and then from Makkah to, they would go to Mina on that day, and they spend their 5 prayers, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and Fajr of the next morning, and from there, they would go to Arafat. Arafat is here. You could see that here. They come to the Mount of Arafat. They have to be there before or just by Dhuhr, so they must spend their Dhuhr, and then they pray their Dhuhr there. If they could do with Imam in Masjid Namira, they would perform both of those. Qasran means shortened, and then they spend their time until Maghrib in supplication, dhikr, tasbih, Quranic recitation, whatever they want to do. And as soon as they hit sunset, they leave for Muzdalifah. So they come back to Muzdalifah there. So once they're in Muzdalifah, they spend their night there. They would do their Maghrib at Isha time. When Isha time starts off, they would do Maghrib first and then Isha, and then they would just be there. And if they could wake up first thing in the morning before Fajr, do some tasbihat, azkar, whatever little ibadah they can do, inshallah, because they'll be tired for a whole day spending in the open sun. And then after Fajr, they would spend few moments, which is called the Wuquf Muzdalifah, which is straight after Fajr time. So they must spend at least some time there. And then they move towards Mina. So they have to come back to Mina. And this is the day of sacrifice, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. So today they have to do certain rituals. One is to stone the Jamara, the big one only. So the 3, small, middle, and the big one. Big one is close to Haram. So you leave the first small one, middle one, and the big. Finally, you go there, and then you stone that one, 7 pebbles. And that's when you stop your talbiyah. The minute you start throwing the first pebble in between your thumb and your index finger, keeping the hand above your head, and throwing gently. It's a symbolic, throwing of a stone, not actual in a sense that you would hit it hard. You don't have to do that. This is just a symbolic way of saying that I would rather remove the whispers of shaitan away from me like this. It's as simple as this. It means I'm not going to listen to shaitan or to my whims and desires. And you do 7 of them, and there's a column, long column, and outside of that is a small boundary. The stone should go in that boundary. You don't even have to hit the rock, hit the center pole. You don't have to. And the best way is to stay at least, few handspan away. It's about 5, 7 handspan away. Not that close. Don't go there and touch it. Stay away, and so that there's a demonstration of throwing something. If you don't touch the wall, like that column, that's fine, provided you have your stone gone inside their boundary. So this is the stone, this is the column, and then you have that boundary. You should reach that, and then that is fine. Don't collect any pebble from around there, because most of them are, so what happens if you hit too hard and from too close, hit it and it can rebound back. And if it comes back, it hasn't gone down. That's not done. You have to repeat that one. And when you see thousands of people around you and they're all doing the same, how would you know where your stone went? So if you did it too hard, so you might have missed it without knowing. So don't do it. Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, any dua. Bismillah is good to say while throwing it. Rahman lish-shaytan wa ridan lir-Rahman, to desecrate shaitan and to honor and to glorify Rahman, okay, to please him. Rida Rahman, Rida, to please for the pleasure of Rahman. This is why we're doing it. So once you've done that, then you have two choices. Either you go back to your tent in Mina, have some rest if you're tired, and wait for your animal to be slaughtered. Once that's done, you shave your head. And you can do your tawaf ziyarah from this day until the next day and the next day, which is 12 at Maghrib time, so before Maghrib. So if you've done that, in those 2.5 days, your tawaf ziyarah, which is the rukun, second rukun, first rukun was Arafah, second rukun is this. So if you've done that from after the sunrise onto the asr of that day, then you have done it. You don't have to do first, but the doing on first day, which is 10th, is better. So the other choices, after stoning, you go straight to Haram and performing your tawaf ziyarah and sa'i with that. And whenever you do a sa'i in a tawaf, what do you do in that tawaf? You do irtiba and ramal. You do irtiba and ramal. Irtiba is uncovering your right shoulder, and ramal is walking fast, jogging. First 3 rounds, only out of 7, only first 3. So you do that. And if you've done your tawaf ziyarah and your sa'i after that, then you can come back and then rest till you find out. By that time, hopefully your animal would have been slaughtered anyway. This is called Dam-e Shukr, which is the slaughtering for Hajj, thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not your qurbani. Yeah, this is Hajj Hadi as well. Yeah, it's called Hadi. So this is not your sacrifice of Eid, by the way. Okay, if you wanted to do it, you have to do separately. You can do here, you can do back home, wherever. You can do in Makkah as well, like where you are, and have that meat as well. But most people would be travelers, so they don't have to do it. It's not wajib on them, because they're traveler then. So if you've done that tawaf ziyarah, then you are completely out of ihram. Once you had your animal slaughtered and you've shaven your head or trimmed your hair, you're done. You come out of ihram, you're normal man now. You don't have to do anything other than with regards to the restrictions of ihram are all lifted. If you've done everything other than tawaf ziyarah, which you're too tired today, you want to do tomorrow or the next day, then until you have done, so you shave the head, then you can come out of ihram, you can put perfume on, you can do everything except the conjugal relationship, which is not allowed until you have done your tawaf ziyarah. Okay. Now, some imam would consider even perfumes to be not allowed, because putting perfume on for women and for men, husband and wife, that might, incite them into coming close to each other. So that is why they say perfume could be a means to bring them close to that conjugal relationship. Hence, they shouldn't do it. Perhaps Imam Malik would suggest that. Anyway, but we generally okay with that. Then this is your 10th day completed. Then you have got your 11th, 12th, and 13th. So 11th and 12th are must. 13 is optional. I will come to that. Okay. So what did you do 10th? On 10th, we just done it. Yawmun Nahar. It's called Yawmun Nahar. Okay. Yawmun Nahar. So first day was Yawmut Tarwiyah. Second day was, which is 9th, Yawmul Arafah. And this is your Yawmun Nahar. Nahar means slaughtering. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. So offer your prayer for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and also your sacrifice, slaughter. So that is Nahar. The way slaughter, literally, Nahar means slaughtering, but there's a specific way of slaughtering for camel, and that is why that is called Nahar, more than the Zibah. Zibah or Zibah or Zabah, that's called in our language. That is just slaughtering like this. The Nahar is slaughtering by exactly stabbing the animal, the camel mainly, and then let the blood drain, and then they become weakened, and then you can cut the neck and the veins there. Okay. So you do your Fajr prayer straight after, at the beginning of the time in Muzdalifah, where you spend the night before. And after that, you spend few moments there. And that is the wuquf, which is wajib in Hanafi school. And then you can make some dua, inshallah ta'ala. It is recommended that you do your dua with Imam if possible. You can stand anywhere. Other than there's a place called Wadi Muhassar. Wadi Muhassar is a place which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned not to be there. There was a place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has held the people of Abraha. So you do not want to be there. You just move past because they were punished. And you can stay there until however long, but the earlier the better. Leave from there to come to Mina. If you leave Muzdalifah before Fajr time begins, and you haven't spent even 1 minute in Muzdalifah after the Fajr time, you have missed your wajib of standing in Muzdalifah. It is only allowed for women and weak people. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent some of the women at night time before the morning. He said, you guys can go. Okay, so that they can be there on time and they do not have to go through the hardship of whole night in Muzdalifah. Weak people, frail, those who need a wheelchair, those who need to go to toilet and they don't find any space, it's like a bit tough for them, they are excused. Imam Shafi considered this to be a rukun as well, spending that time there, that little time in Muzdalifah, which is wajib in Hanafi school. For them, it is a rukun, even more important, like fard. Then you try to be in Mina before sunrise. Okay, once you're in your tent in Mina, then you have to do stoning for Jamara Aqaba. Jamara Aqaba is the furthest away, and this is the biggest one, where the Aqaba happened close to that place. There's now a masjid which you could see, and that's where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took pledge of Aqaba. There's one first and the second one from the people of which people? People of Medina. Okay, the Ansar. They came. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam invited them. They accepted. They came the next year with more people, and they got the place ready for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Musab ibn Umair. He went there with them, and they had about 83 people, 10 women, rest men accepting Islam. So this young man, Musab ibn Umair, was first ambassador of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what he did, he converted people, 83 within a year, in a new place where he's teaching, and he was very young, very late 20, early 20s, or 21 or something. He wasn't very old. He was quite young. Like, he would maximum 23, 24 possibly. Very intelligent. You could imagine how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, got him to do the job. And obviously you seize your talbiyah when you throw the first one, as we mentioned. And then obviously if you just let your stone be in that boundary, then it's done. If you throw all 7 together, we count it as one. Okay, make sure you do one separately and count it. It has to be done. 7, yeah. Ideally, you can collect from anywhere, but it's better to collect from Muzdalifah. So that is why people will just be gathering from Muzdalifah, small pebbles. Why it is disliked to collect from around the Jamara? Because you never know. Some of them might be rejected ones, thrown and came back, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't accept them. So it was like, you don't want to be, using those ones, inshallah. Then you can, as I said, you can get your animal sacrificed by yourself, or if you've got your company doing it, the agency you're going with, they have done it, that's fine. They would announce, they would text you saying that your animal is slaughtered. Once it's done, Now, this is important. But what tends to happen, people do their Rami, and then Rami is stoning, then they come to their, tent in Mina. And now they get very, fidgety, very uncomfortable, wants to come out of Ihram, having taken a shower for a couple of days, a bit tired, didn't sleep well. And this is a time of test, a big test. And you would see people start literally fighting against, talking about the team that you've come with, like in the company, the groups, what you call the Hajj organizers, they start backbiting. And you would see people sitting in Mina for their Hajj, waiting for the time, waiting for the announcement of their sacrifice being done or not, and start bickering, talking, chatting, backbiting, slandering, all sorts of things. Oh, they're going only for their own people first. They would do a bit late. We're stuck. We can't do anything. See, worst ever. They've never completed or fulfilled their promise. They're bad people. And you're tired and you want to take rest, and people wouldn't be bothered. They just keep chatting, and they spoil your sleep, and then they spoil their akhirah as well. Not achieving anything. What would you achieve by doing any of that? Why are you too concerned about coming out of Ihram now? So what? What would you do? Is that you get your Eid, you go to your Nani Amma house, get some Eid? What is that? You're in Hajj, man, come on, behave, and then just rest. So I had to once tell them brutally off because we were tired for whole night, didn't get a sleep. This is one time when we had we literally reached there close to Fajr time, couldn't make it on time. It happens because if you, that's all test for Hajj. As I said, if you do not get tested in Hajj, rest assured that your Hajj is not accepted, inshallah. I'm very, very definite about that in my ideas, in my little experience with that. Because it is completely unfathomable how the best of the best, the prophets and the companions, they had to go through a lot of trials. And this is something which is a hardship for women as well. And you do not get any hardship, even to the degree what the women in those days have experienced. And you think that your Hajj is accepted and theirs is accepted and we are at the same level. Astaghfirullah, can't be. I don't accept that in my mind. It is completely, if I don't get into trouble in Hajj and it's all smooth, there's some problem with that. There's some concern. I've not done something properly, maybe. Not asking for, it's like saying that we fast in long days of Ramadan and there should be no issues with that. You shouldn't feel thirsty, you feel tired. Is that really Ramadan? Are you really fasting? Yeah, you might not feel it. You do not feel it because you trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you go through that hardship. You go through happily because you trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But everything is moving so smoothly, then there's a problem. Allah is letting you get out of it. Get out, get out. I don't want you to be among my pious people. So don't wish for all the luxury and all the nicety and all this comforts. You're not there for comfort. Yeah, little comfort. We get enough comfort anyway. You don't get hardship, by the way. What we talk about hardship is you are in your tent with air conditioner. You can just sleep if you wanted to, but you don't want to sleep because you want to come out of this ihram. I feel like I need to take a shower. I want to get my hair done, which you only had a week ago because you had your Umrah done. You haven't got enough hair. What are you bothering about? What are you concerned about? It's just mind, crazy mind, like child. When you ask them, sit here, and they will be on the computer doing 5 hours game, no problem. You say, you're grounded now, you can't come out of this circle. Now they see, look at their, all fidgetiness, and they become so uncomfortable. This is what we do. Horrible, isn't it? And people waste their Hajj there. That is why you could see why scholars say that in so many, thousands of people, only few people get their Hajj accepted. Because you can only have your Hajj accepted if you stay away from sins. And this is not a sin that you are forced into, rather you opted for it. So you are tired yesterday, you had a long day, then you couldn't sleep, you were lying in the on a rock, obviously completely uncomfortable. And in the morning you came, you did your rami, and if you manage your tawaf ziyarah as well, then you're completely gone. You haven't got any time to think about anything. What you need is to go and rest. And you've got your comfortable bed, whatever little comfort there is, on that, foam, just go and lie down on this. That's what you needed. You opted to talk against everyone, how horrible the experience was and how much you have paid, and all the promises were not fulfilled. And you ruin your akhirah, and you inshallah blessing them with all your rewards going to their account. But it's horrible. That's what people do, unfortunately. A lot of time. In fact, perhaps every time. You would not find people having their head, they can't save it. It's like there's too much blessing. When they go through the Arafah, they become purified. It's just they can't take it. They have to regurgitate it out. They have to throw it away. I've got so much, can't have it. It's too much for me. I can't be that blessed. So, unfortunately. And that perhaps is why we do not get the effect, long-lasting effect that you expect. Every time that many people doing the Hajj, when they come back, the water should get cleaner every time. It gets even more murkier, isn't it? So Hajj is wasted, unfortunately, for that reason. So Imam Malik suggests that you shouldn't even perfume yourselves until you have done your tawaf ziyarah. We rely on the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that everything is lawful for him except women. Then tawaf ziyarah, as you know, you have to do tawaf ziyarah, which is you can do any time from. If you can't do on 10th, you can do on 11 or even 12. Okay. First day is the best. Second and third day as well. You can't delay after that. And this is obviously one of the two pillars. First one is Yawm Arafah. Yeah. Obviously, if you've done your tawaf fi qudum, if you did, and then you did your sa'i with that for Qiran, for Qarin, then he doesn't need to do his sa'i after tawaf. And there's a provision for weak and elderly, frail and ladies. They are allowed, even children, that we make them do their nafil tawaf a night before Hajj. So they get their ihram done on 7th in the evening, because you have to do that most of the time, because the government say that your bus can come any time from after Isha to the morning of 8th. So your bus can be there anytime. So you stay ready from Isha onwards. So you keep your bags and everything, luggage, everything ready. You are in the state of ihram. You don't make niyyah, but you still come and clean yourself, put your ihram on, and you sleep and you wait for them to call you. Then whenever they call you, just go in the bus, off you go. So once they've done that, so we suggest to the women and the weak people to do their nafli tawaf after they put the ihram on 7th, which is perfectly fine. They do perform their tawaf, nafli tawaf. With that, they do sa'i. Okay, they do their sa'i, which is the sa'i of Hajj. They can do that. So their Hajj sa'i is done. That takes literally an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of a stressful day, because after tawaf ziyarah sa'i, that is literally very much a killer. You feel so tired and weak, you would not find many people find it easy. It's not easy. It drains you badly, no matter what you do. Because you could imagine the literally people are just crammed in. Everyone is doing it. So you get completely exhausted. So it is practically preferable to do after tawaf ziyarah, obviously, but too much hectic for our weak ones, because they just can't take it and they become unwell, start coughing, and it just you then either have to get a wheelchair for them, because they can't do it. So there's no point subjecting them to all that hardship, and yourselves as well. So it's better let them do it. So they do their tawaf, nafil tawaf on 7th, and then they go for their sa'i, and it's quiet at that time. Only weak people and frail people doing it, and then they come, they wait for the next day or the night, they go to Mina. So same thing. Yeah, question?
I was about to ask, for the strong lady as well, or just the weak lady?
Any ladies are generally allowed. Ladies are considered, special in that regard. They can go for it. Not for men. Men
By the
shouldn't.
way, anyway, then, what about the men with the ladies?
Yeah, so because when you are in haram, you do not need to be with your wife or your wife to be with you all the time. They can go with other ladies. They go and do it, and they can come back to the hotel. Men should try and not do it. Weak men, yes. Elderly men, yes. Those with multiple conditions, yeah. Those on the chair are allowed. But you should try and not do it because that hardship, that's the game. That's the beauty. Then you feel that you've done something. Alhamdulillah. Obviously, if someone couldn't do for whatever reason, then they have to do it afterwards, especially the women, if they're on their special days. And that's another problem. There are certain women, then they get stuck. So then they have to pay them. They cannot come out of ihram until they have done it. It's a bit of a very big thing. So may Allah make it easy for our sisters, but it becomes a problem because your flight is in only 2 days' time, and the plane is not going to stop for next 7 days or what. And due to stress and pressure, hot weather, and everything else, they can have earlier start. And oh my goodness, I wasn't expecting it, what happened? So we had 5 women on the day we were supposed to do the office ziyarah. They couldn't do it. So obviously, then we come up with a solution for them. I want to tell you need to ask if you are in that situation, inshallah, because then it becomes like a plaything. So we do not do that unless there's a dire situation and need. So what are the 4 actions that we do? Stoning, slaughtering, shaving the hair, and then tawaf ziyarah, ifada, in whichever order. But first 3 has to be in that order, in Hanafi school. Now, when you are there, many people would say and suggest to you, you know what, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when someone came to him and they say, Ya Rasulullah, we didn't know we have done our slaughtering before our shaving, before our stoning. Someone would say, we have done our shaving before our slaughtering, whichever order. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, okay, no problem, la basa bi, all okay. He let it all go. So based on this, the local people, some other imam, they would consider the order not to be at all wajib. But what Hanafis say is this was the time when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was teaching them and they didn't know. They didn't know the order. Jibreel was teaching Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was saying things, and 124,000 people, they could not hear it all. So whatever people could hear, they did it. The rest did whatever they felt, and they did it. And since they didn't know, and there was no other way of knowing, and Sharia was just being implemented in early stages, it was okay. And subsequently, none of the Khulafa al-Rashidin, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, in their time, or anyone in the Ummah, has ever done in other than this order anyway. So that becomes established now. So this is how it is. This is how it should be. For someone who didn't know, someone who's very unwell and frail, and they couldn't do, there may be a leeway, but generally, the order should be maintained. So it's very strict in Hanafi school that you must do in that order. Okay? So you can remember is the pass. So P is pelting, A is animal slaughter, S is shaving, and then PAS. Okay, shaving or shortening your hair. Okay. And tawaf ziyarah can be done anytime in between. That there's no order for tawaf ziyarah. and this is based on the fatwa of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu as well. He said that whoever advances a ritual over the ritual must sacrifice, has to pay a dam. So for us, that is enough of a reason. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud's fatwa, I mean, amazing. What else do you need? Okay, and that becomes established principle. That is what everyone did as a practice. So the next day, so after that, you have to come back and spend your night in Mina, in the tent. You should be there back in the Mina. It's Sunnah in Hanafi school. Some Hanafis take advantage of that. They spend their night in hotel. Not good. You're there to fulfill Sunnah mustahabbat. Why would you then go for the comforts of your life? It's bad. You're not going to do much there. In Mina, at least you would be able to have some decent discourse, maybe some learning, some stuff. And then you can, follow the Sunnah first. And some other Imams have considered to be wajib anyway. So just do that. Spend your night in Mina tent, stay there after Fajr, the next morning. And then you have that during the day, your time to do your stoning. So today, which is 11th, you have to stone all three of them. All three of them, okay? 7 to each. So 7, 7, 7, 21 them. Okay. So 7 day 1, 21 here, and 21 the next day. So 49. Okay, 49 pebbles you must keep in your small pouch. So the one closest to Masjid al-Khayf is the small one. Okay. Ula, Wusta, and Uqba. And then middle one, and then one after that, which is Aqaba, close to Haram. So this is the side that we see. Okay. This one, and this one, these three. And this is your column. Quite wide actually. You could see that many people around. You don't come too close. You keep 2, 3, 4 arms span away. And if you keep coming all the way from the other side in front, it is better to keep your left side towards Kaaba, which is that way, and right towards Mina. So coming all the way, so the Mina is there, Kaaba is here. So this is why the picture is taken from here. You stand here. You stand on this side, right here, and then it's easy if you just. But what happened? People walking from there, they all come and gather right at the beginning. So there's more crowd there. So if you just keep walking from the side and keep walking here, and then once you're here, then throw, then it's easier. And then you make dua, okay, for a few seconds even, if you could do that, some tasbihah, some takbir, some subhanallah, some durood upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 1 or 2. They would not let you stand there for longer. Just go and towards Qibla, make small dua, and then move on for the next one. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would make dua there, because this is one of the places where duas are accepted. One of the 7 places that he mentioned, duas are accepted. The next day you have to do exactly the same. Okay, stoning all 3 of them. Then your Hajj is completed if you have done your tawaf ziyarah. One thing is left though. We'll come to that. Now you have done, this is 12, 11th, 12th. Then up to you. You can spend that night in Mina as well, or you leave it and go back to Makkah. فَمَنْ تَعَجَّلَ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ وَمَنْ تَأَخَّرَ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. Those who spend 2 days there is fine, those and come back to Makkah, or those who spend extra days. So 95% people just leave on 12th. They don't want to spend extra day in Mina. Well, we did it a few times, so only in the whole tent is like this many people. So then it's a small group, and then you can get the blessing, inshallah ta'ala. The next day you move. So if you travel back to Medina is next day or the day after, then obviously then you shouldn't spend that night there, so that you can get ready, and then you have to do your tawaf wada, which is coming next. These are called Ayyam al-Tashriq from 11, 12, and 13. Ayyam al-Tashriq, where you do your tasbihat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. Although you start that here from the 9th, which you hear start there as well from 9th after Fajr with the Fajr prayer till the 13th Asr. So you do those. So these are all Yam Tashriq with the tasbih, and also they would dry their meat, slaughter meat. The way they had to, they couldn't refrigerate it, so they would just dry them, keep it hanging, and when it gets properly dried, then they keep it because then it lasts longer, it doesn't get rotten. Okay, so Yam Tashriq. So if on the 12th you stayed there until the Maghrib, according to Imam Shafi, he said even if you have been there until Maghrib time and the Maghrib happens while you're there, you have to be there for that night. You have to do the 13th Rami. Then the option is gone and you have to do it. Then it becomes an obligation. Okay. We follow the view where you have to, if you had gone roughly the midnight-ish. So for whoever the sun sets during this is their opinion, and we stick to the plan that if you have done that before Maghrib. So Imam Shafi is a bit strict with earlier time, and we will leave it for even later. So don't try to be there. If you wanted to leave on 12, just leave after the stoning before Maghrib, so that you don't compromise the chances of being out of Mina. Otherwise, you would need to stay there. For us, it's like even later is fine, like before midnight. Anyway, so in summary, you go to Miqat. Where do you go then? The Haram. On 8th, you would do your Ihram, and where would you go from here to? You go to Mina, yes, and from Mina, where would you go? Arafat, and on 9th, this is here. And what would you do on Arafat from Maghrib? You move to Muzdalifah. From Muzdalifah, you would come back to Mina, okay? And from Mina, what would you do? You come to Haram between 10 and 12, but you would also have to be doing the Jamarat, okay? Stoning and coming back to Mina. Stoning, coming back to Mina, okay? To Mina, sorry, 11, 12. 13 is optional, obviously. So that's your Hajj. Then you come to Makkah, you spend your time there. There's a valley called Abtah, if you could find that place and spend some time there. There where Rasulullah sallallahu camped when he returned from Hajj. And then after that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then performed his tawaful wada, farewell Hajj, farewell pilgrimage should be called. This is on the Hajjatul Wada. When he did that, his final Hajj. Okay. Okay, the Wadi Muhassab you try and avoid. All the rest is fine. And Tawaf al-Wada is wajib, which is final tawaf. If you're there for any longer, so initial plan was to leave on, say, tomorrow, and you're here today, just you want to get your Tawaf al-Wada sorted out ASAP. So you've done it, and then they say, oh, Tilly, we're not going tomorrow, we've got another day. So some people think, since I've already done my Tawaf al-Wada, I cannot go to Haram again. No, don't worry, you can go. You can do another Tawaf. Go and do it. Okay? So do extra Tawafs. Whatever is the last Tawaf, that will be your Tawaf. Tawaf is for the Tawaf al-Wada. So you just, saying farewell to Kaaba. Obviously, don't do Ramal, because Ramal and Tawaf is only done in Tawaf, which is going to be followed up by a Sa'i. If you're doing Sa'i after that, then you do it. And that's it. That's your Hajj completed. The Ziyarah would come the next, and then a few more details of the types and what are the penalty, which is the most important bit, but people obviously don't understand, or they find it very difficult, because you do Hajj very rarely. You see once in life and maybe twice or three times in lifetime. So that is why it's difficult. But inshallah, we will just go through it just to complete the book. May Allah give us tawfiq.